The 2025 MLB offseason has hit a bit of a lull. There's nothing going on. So I decided in order to keep talking about baseball, let's take a look back at the 2024 offseason, go through the big moves that were made, and regrade them 1 year later. Shout out to my boy 6 Rings of Steel. Saw he did this on his second channel. You can check it out. Links in description. I think it's a really good idea. And if you want to see me do this with other MLB offseasons or trade deadlines, let me know in the comment section down below. As well as drop a like on the video and don't forget to subscribe. Starting off with Luke Weaver of the New York Yankees, genuinely one of the best signings of the offseason last year. The Yankees re-signed him technically. He pitched a couple games at the end of the season for them in 2023. And being able to get Luke Weaver last year on a 1-year, $2 million deal while he was your closer, leading you into the World Series, being one of the best bullpen arms in baseball last season, 84 innings, an ERA below 3, a whip under 1. Luke Weaver was fantastic. There's no other grade to give it besides an A. That was one of the best signings of the offseason in terms of value and production. The New York Mets made a splash on the DH market late in the offseason going after JD Martinez. They signed him to a 1-year, $12 million contract, which was a completely fair price for an aging veteran DH. JD started off the season really hot with the Mets, was fantastic, a big reason why they were able to make that push in the summer months. But by the end of the season, JD Martinez just simply wasn't the same hitter. I liked what JD was able to do for this team. He definitely helped Mark Vientos a ton, and still at the end of the day, he was a positive bat at the plate for the entire year, a 106 OPS plus. I am going to give this one a C+ grade because I think it was better than it was bad, but I'm not going to pretend like the JD Martinez signing really was revolutionary for the Mets at the position. Part of the reason why JD Martinez gets a little bit of a lower grade is that the Diamondbacks went out and signed Jocko Peterson last year for 1 year, $12.5 million, and he was simply just way better. He was one of the best DHs in baseball statistically last year. Now, of course, he is platoon reliant. He's not going to face left-handed pitching. He's not going to hit it very well. But last year, it's hard to find a DH. I mean, there's a couple, but he's one of the better ones with this good of numbers. Last year in 132 games, he had 23 homers, 17 doubles, 64 RBIs, a 393 on base with a 515 slugging, a 908 OPS. For an OPS plus at 151 is absolutely disgusting. That gets an A, no ifs, ands, or buts. That's one of the best signings as well. Back to my favorite team, the New York Mets. They went after some cheap pitching last season, and it kind of paid off. One of those guys being Luis Severino, who they signed to a 1-year, $13 million contract. Luis Severino was a crucial part of the 2024 Mets. He was a steady pitcher for them. He gave them a ton of innings. He was healthy for the entire season, and he really was such good value at $13 million. There's not many times you can get a pitcher who's going to give you 180 innings with a sub-4 ERA, pitch games for you in the postseason for $13 million a year. Severino was great. It was an amazing addition to this team. He now went and got paid by the Oakland A's. He wasn't one of the best pitchers on the market. Value-wise, production-wise, he was still really solid, so I'm going to give this one a B. Dodgers made a couple splashes, as they always do, one of them being Teoscar Hernandez, who they signed to a 1-year, $23.5 million contract last offseason. Where do we start with Teoscar? He was incredible. A huge reason why they won the World Series. Honestly, a little bit of an underrated reason. The guy was so good in that lineup, was able to give them length in a lineup that at some points felt top-heavy. 33 homers, nearly 100 RBIs, an 840 OPS with an OPS plus at 137. I don't care about his defense in the outfield. When he mashes like that, there's only one grade to give it. That's an A. He was awesome. Oh, Mariners fans. Signing hitters has always been tough, and I thought Mitch Garver was going to be able to break the mold last offseason. I really liked the move. He raked in Texas. Huge reason why they won the World Series in 2023. Did not help the Mariners almost at all last year in 2024. One of the worst production-wise offseason signings. Garver last year was a negative WAR player. He had an 85 OPS plus. He hit 172 with a sub-300 on base percentage. I don't know what happens when you go to Seattle. Right-handed hitters specifically can't hit there. Just hitters in general always struggle. And Mitch Garver, he was another one of the victims. Unfortunately, I have to give Mitch Garver, as of right now, 1 year later, an absolute F. The one thing I will say is 2 years, $24 million, like that's not very expensive, but he literally didn't bring any positive value last year. Tigers signed Kenta last year to a 2-year, $24 million contract. I thought at the time it might be a decent deal, just a guy who could give you innings. Let's just cut to the chase. 112 innings. They were terrible last year. 6 ERA, a whip at 1.38. The Tigers aren't going to probably even use him very much in 2025. It seems like he's not a part of the future plans, and he shouldn't be. He was horrendous. This one gets an F. He was one of the worst pitchers in baseball statistically last year. Doesn't matter how much he cost. $12 million going to waste right now, or at least it did in 2024. Ooh, Jordan Montgomery. Yikes. As good as the Jocko Peterson signing was for the Diamondbacks, the pitching side, they made some mistakes. Jordan Montgomery being one of them. They signed him late. It was really only a 1-year, $25 million contract with a player option for $22.5 million the following year. It got even worse because last season he was terrible. Again, he was one of the worst pitchers statistically in baseball last year, getting paid $25 million. That's not good, but it's even worse because he now picked up that player option and you're going to be paying him $22.5 million to be not particularly good again. Now you could chalk it up to a shortened spring training because again, he did sign 1.9 late. He didn't get a full spring training underneath it, but posting a 6 ERA with a 1.6 whip, he was unusable for the Diamondbacks. This one also gets an F. There are a lot of very polarizing moves. Jordan Montgomery was one of the most. Reds went out and got Nick Martinez last year, a sneaky, really good starting pitcher on the season for them. The contract was originally 2 years, $26 million. They ended up having all these different options. He got a qualifying offer. He accepted it, so he's playing with the Reds again. But last year, he was a sneaky underrated pitcher in the league. 3.1 ERA in 142 innings, a whip at 1.026, 3.21 FIP. Nick Martinez by no means is going to be an ace of a staff, nobody that you want leading your rotation, but for a Reds team that just could use some consistency on the starting pitching side at times, Nick Martinez is a good guy that they had last year and a good guy they'll have going into this upcoming season. I give Nick Martinez a B. Another budget pitcher the Mets went after last year was Mania. They signed him to a 2-year, $28 million contract with an option to opt out. He, of course, did opt out because he had a great season with the Mets in 2024. You could say it was the best season of Mania's career. He was almost top 10 in the Cy Young voting in the National League, had an ERA at 3.47, made 32 starts, 180 innings, a whip at 1.084, which is the lowest of his career, and he now got paid. He was that good that the Mets decided to bring him back, 3 years, $75 million. It was a fantastic move. The Mets would have gone nowhere without Mania. I'm going to give the Mania move as well a B to A rating. I don't know which one I want to do. Am I going to do in pluses? B plus maybe. It was better than Severino, but it's not one of the best signings because there are guys who were just simply better, but Mania was pretty awesome. Reynaldo Lopez, the White Sox couldn't figure him out. The Braves got their hands on him, and what do you know? He was awesome, especially in the starting pitcher role. A former top prospect who went to the bullpen, looked great. The Braves said, you're going to be a starter again, and he was fantastic. They signed him last offseason to a 3-year, $30 million contract. They ended up giving him some more money along the way. He ended up getting some options. The Braves just worked their voodoo magic. And when Reynaldo Lopez was healthy last year, in the 26 appearances he made, 25 starts, 135 innings, a 1.99 ERA, a whip at 1.106, 2.29 FIP, a 5-win pitcher according to Baseball Reference War. This one gets an A. It was a phenomenal move by Atlanta. There are some injury concerns still, especially with how he ended the year, but Reynaldo Lopez was so good in 2024. Kansas City Royals and Michael Wacha last year, 2-year, $32 million contract. Wacha was able to opt out, and then the Royals paid him this offseason because, again, similarly to Mania, he was that good. 3.35 ERA in 166 innings, a 1.19 whip. Wacha is just a very consistently good and boring pitcher. Similarly to Mania, like I said, I'm going to give him like that B/A rating, which is probably just a B+ at this point. Marcus Stroman of the New York Yankees. Yikes. This one turned out poorly. 2 years, $37 million the Yankees gave to Marcus Stroman, and yeah, they regretted it. Stroman is a good pitcher, but I don't know what happened last season with the Yankees. He was just pretty terrible. 154 innings, a 4.31 ERA, a 1.468 whip. He wasn't even on the playoff roster at times. Like, he just isn't someone that the Yankees seemingly want to be a part of the organization for the future, and they gave him multiple years, along with a player option at the end of his contract in 2025, which he's probably going to pick up because it's $18 million, and I don't see him getting that on the open market based on what we've seen previously. If he has a good year, maybe he opts out. That's the Yankees' fingers crossed best option, but I don't see it happening. I'm going to give Marcus Stroman a D because, again, he wasn't Jordan Montgomery bad, but he definitely wasn't good. Hor Solair is a really difficult one to grade because the Giants had him for half a season before trading him back to the Braves. They gave him a 3-year, $42 million contract, which really isn't insane for a guy who has the power potential that Hor Solair has, but when he was with the Giants, he wasn't particularly good. They didn't get to use him much, and then they traded him to the Braves for pretty much nothing, and then the Braves traded him to the Angels for Griffin Canning just because they didn't want to pay him very much. I'm going to give this one a C/D rating. Like, I don't really know if anybody even cares that I'm talking about the Hor Solair move. It didn't work for the Giants, though, so I guess that's more of a D. Him overall in the season was completely good. Braves got that voodoo magic. D-backs made a lot of moves last year. Lourdes Gurriel, they made sure he came back. They gave him a 3-year, $42 million contract, which seems completely fair for a player of Lourdes Gurriel's caliber. He's a 2 to 3 win player, plays decent defense in the outfield. There's going to be a high average, low walk rate guy with some 20 home run pop in his bat. He's just a B player. You know what you're getting out of Lourdes Gurriel every single season. It's consistent, it's solid, doesn't move the needle, but you need guys like him on your team. Reynaldo Lopez was a reliever, switched to starter, it worked out. Jordan Hicks was a reliever, switched to starter, it worked out a little bit, and then it didn't. And then he didn't pitch most of the end of the season because they were worried about his arm. He lost a lot of velo on his fastball towards the end of the season. They gave him 4 years, $44 million, so it's not the worst contract, especially because if you ever make him a reliever again, he is a high velo, high octane, high leverage arm that can be closing out games for you or at least being a setup man. And that's kind of the going rate for these guys right now. I gave this one a C because I think it's still kind of ongoing and too early to tell with Jordan Hicks and the Giants. There's a world where he can be a very, very capable starting pitcher. Just does he have the arm strength and the ability to stay healthy enough to be a valuable starting pitcher, or is that why bullpen is the best spot for him? Seth Lugo, let's just give this one an A. The dude finished second in the Cy Young voting, got MVP votes, was an all-star for the Royals last year. 3 years, $45 million contract. He has a player option for 2026. He might not even take that necessarily because he's pitching so well, but he is a little bit older. Seth Lugo was incredible. He was good with the Padres after becoming a starter with his time with the Mets, and he just got even better in Kansas City. 200 plus innings, a 3 ERA, a whip at 1.089. He's one of my 30 best pitchers going into the season next year. At $15 million a year for a guy like Seth Lugo, who's giving you 200 innings alone, is worth $15 million a year, let alone a around 3 ERA. That's absolutely disgusting. One of the best moves of the offseason, definitely deserves an A. Ooh, Jeimer Candelario and the Reds. I thought this one was going to be so good, but it turned out to be one of the worst performing contracts that we saw last year. Signed a 3-year, $45 million deal with the Reds. He was horrible last season. I mean, he was a negative WAR player according to Baseball Reference. He kind of just went back to not being a good hitter. Sub 280 on base, 225 batting average. Didn't really hit for any power. The OPS was 707, which in Cincinnati is an OPS plus at 90. When you have no defensive value and you're not hitting like they expected, it's hard to give this one a good grade. And now they have all this young talent where I don't know where Jeimer Candelario fits on this team necessarily. I still think he could bounce back. He's way too good of a hitter to be as bad as he was. So I'm going to give this one a D, even though it is very close to an F. I just think he's going to be able to turn it around this season. From a sheer cost perspective, Shota Imanaga could be one of the best signings of the offseason last year. Cubs signed him over from Japan. A 4-year, $53 million contract is just so insanely cheap for a starting pitcher of Shota Imanaga's caliber. Of course, revisionist history, it's obvious to say that now. At the time, there were concerns about what kind of pitcher Shota Imanaga could be at the major league level. A smaller left-handed pitcher who doesn't throw that hard, relied on a sweeper. You don't see that from a lot of starting pitchers on the left side, but he gave them 170 innings in his first professional season in the majors, a sub 3 ERA, a whip right around 1 at 1.021, striking out a ton of batters, 4th in the Rookie of the Year, 5th in Cy Young voting, made the All-Star team. This was one of the amazing moves the Chicago Cubs made. They're so close to making awesome moves, and then they do stupid things, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Shota Imanaga is not one of them. Shota gets an A. Another move getting a clear and obvious A is going to be the Giants signing Matt Chapman. They signed him to a 3-year, $54 million contract, which is $18 million a year AAV. He played so well that they renegotiated, gave him an extension. Now he's getting paid big bucks, 6 years, $151 million. Matt Chapman was great defensively. He was great offensively. He did everything you would want out of a cornerstone player for that Giants franchise. Matt Chapman was great. This one gets an A. He was technically one of the most valuable players according to WAR last year. Whether you like the stat or not, that's worth something. Matt Chapman was a stud. It's honestly crazy how many moves the Giants made. Like, how did they not have a better season? Because Blake Snell, low-key, was still a great signing. Again, even though he had some injuries and he only threw 100 innings and he started the year late because of the spring training stuff and signing late in the offseason. He gave them 20 starts, 100 innings of a 3.12 ERA, a whip at 1.048. That was with a rough start. Once he came back after the injury, he was almost unhittable, literally throw a no-hitter. It got him paid this offseason by the Dodgers. That's like the worst part about this is that the Giants gave him too friendly of a contract. You should have locked this guy up for a while. Instead, now he goes to your rival in the NL West, who's going to be knocking on your door, making sure you guys do not make the playoffs this season again. I want to give this one a lower grade because you shouldn't have given them the opt-outs knowing that Blake Snell was going to opt out, but I guess that was the risk you took. Blake Snell was a B. He still was horrible for half the year and then disgusting for another half, so I think B's a fair grade. Sonny Gray, plain and simple, just like his entire career, it's pretty good. I mean, a 3.84 ERA is not insane. It's not anything to write home about at age 34, 35, but he gave you 170 innings, a whip low at right around 1. He's getting paid $25 million a year for the next 2 seasons and got paid $25 million last year, so that is a lot of money AAV-wise, but Sonny Gray is a good pitcher, and that's just the going rate, so similarly, I gave him a B. Now, Cody Bellinger with the Chicago Cubs. This one might be a little controversial, but here's my reason. I don't think the contract's bad. 3 years, $80 million. It's about $26.6 million a season. He didn't perform as well as he did in 2024, as he did the previous year, which of course is what got him paid. They gave him the opt-outs. He didn't opt out. He decided to stay. What made this contract so bad is that the Cubs didn't want to pay Cody Bellinger anymore, so they traded him to the Yankees for nothing. I know they got rid of some of the money, but you still just, this was not enough. This was not a smart move. They were the opposite. The Giants were wishing that Blake Snell would have opted back in. I guess they kind of got it with Matt Chapman. The Cubs did not with Cody Bellinger. They didn't want him back. He stayed. This was just not very smart. I give this one a D because you just spent all this money to not make the playoffs with Cody Bellinger, and then when he decided to come back, you said, okay, let's just get rid of you for nothing because that's how little we want to pay you. That's a D for me. Ooh, Eduardo Rodriguez to the Diamondbacks. This one was rough. 4 years, $80 million, $20 million a year. This is a pretty untradeable contract right now, especially with how poorly he pitched last year. You're looking at a 5 ERA and 50 innings, 1.5 whip. Like, he was just not good at all. This one gets an F, and I think Diamondbacks agree. If you can get anything out of Erod next year, it will be huge for them. They need it. That division is loaded. But the way that Erod and Jordan Montgomery pitch pitched last year is unacceptable on those contracts. They both get Fs. Maybe a controversial take here. I don't think Josh Hader was as bad as everybody was making it out to be. That being said, anytime you pay a reliever close to $20 million a season, it's tough for them to ever be worth it. Now, I still think Josh Hader is one of the 10 best relievers in Major League Baseball. The stuff is disgusting, and I think the 3.8 ERA is inflated again because he's a reliever. The guy still had a whip under 1, which is truly what I care more about. Sure got 105 batters in 70 innings. Seems like he got a little bit unlucky, and the Astros still won a lot of the games that he pitched in. It's not like he was blowing games every single time he went out there. I'll give this one a C because it is hard for a player to be paid $20 million as a reliever and have a near 4 ERA and be worth it. That being said, I still think he's very good, and I think Astros fans and myself will eat those words because he's going to be completely fine in 2025, and he's going to be lights out again. Last move for the San Francisco Giants here, Jung-Woo Lee. Didn't get to see him play almost at all last year due to a season-ending shoulder injury. I definitely have my concerns about Jung-Woo Lee's game because he is super contact-oriented. Not a lot of pop in that bat. He was supposed to be a little more active on the bases, really wasn't able to, and we only saw him play 37 games. So for that, I'm just going to give it a straight-up C. It's yet to be determined. That being said, Jung-Woo Lee's getting paid close to $20 million a year for the next 5 seasons. He has to be a good player for this Giants team in order for it to work. That's a lot of money. I think this is one of the first signings of the offseason. Aaron Nola signing a monster contract with the Phillies. 7 years, $172 million, comes out to about, what, $24.5 million a season. I'm a huge Aaron Nola fan. I know he's a Philly, and I hate that team in that city, but this guy is just a really good pitcher. I think criminally underrated in the game of baseball. He doesn't throw 100, doesn't have the nastiest pitches, but year after year, he gives you innings, and he gives you good results. And similarly to Aaron Nola's career, again, he's not A, he's not elite, but I think he's a B. I think he's really good. I think he's a great number 2, 3 option in that Phillies rotation. And at $24 million a year, it's one of the best value starting pitcher contracts out there when you're talking about how many innings he gives you as well. And just in case you were wondering, 3.5 ERA last year, 1.19 whip, 200 innings. It's fantastic. Last 2 players here for the Los Angeles Dodgers, both Japanese, starting it off with Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Yamamoto got a monster contract, 12 years, $325 million, which is an AAV of about $27 million a season. That makes him one of the highest paid pitchers in all of Major League Baseball. So in order for it to be an A, Yoshinobu Yamamoto needs to be one of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball. Last year, in the small sample we saw, he was great. 3 ERA in 18 starts, 90 innings, a 1.11 whip. Like, all the stuff was really good, and I think he's going to be good for years and years to come. We did see some injury issues. We did only see him throw 90 innings. There were some up and downs. For that reason, I'm going to give him a B. But at the same regard, they won the World Series. They wouldn't be able to do it without Yoshinobu Yamamoto. He was there for them at the end. He was fantastic. So it is a B, knowing that he's getting paid nearly $30 million a year, and those numbers just are not $30 million value worthy back. But if he pitched an entire season, oh yeah, this is a clear A. And then, of course, you've got Shohei Otani, the $700 million man, the original $700 million man. A+. Do I need to say anything else? First player in Major League history to hit 50 homers and steal 50 bases in a season. He won the MVP, unanimous as a DH, had an OPS above 1,000 at 1036. They won the World Series in Shohei Otani's first season as a Los Angeles Dodger, something they haven't been able to do seriously since 1988, because we're not counting the COVID year. I know we're not doing that. And Dodgers fans can get over it now because they won a real one. And it was because of Shohei Otani, and that was without him even pitching. The contract's worth it. The player's disgusting. Everything about Shohei Otani was an A+ last year. You can't find a better deal than Shohei Otani, which is insane to say because he got paid $700 million. But I'm doing it A+. I'd love to know your guys' grades on all these moves down in the comment section below. Which one do you think was kind of slept on that I'm not mentioning? Or which one am I overrating? Can Otani be an A+ at $700 million? Drop a like on the video if you enjoyed, as well as subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any of the content. Follow me on all my social media, GiraffeNeckMarc. Links are in description. That's where I'll wrap it up. You guys know the drill from here on out. YouTube recommends you watch this video. This is my most recent upload, so click through those if you have not yet seen them. Thank you guys so much, and I'll catch you all on another video. Bye.